The final SOS, the stars above the colony world of Velora Prime, were quiet. The twin moons hung like pale eyes, watching the horror below. Smoke rose from burning cities. The once beautiful forests were now black with ash. Streets were empty. Homes lay in ruins. Only the desperate cries of survivors broke the silence. Commander Rallen Voss stood on a cracked balcony, staring at the sky. His blue skin was bruised, his uniform torn. Behind him, wounded soldiers moved through the damaged command post. Screens flickered, showing reports of destruction. The enemy had come without warning. They called themselves the Zarkith Swarm, a brutal race of warships and merciless killers. They destroyed everything in their path. Any word from the council? Rallen asked his officer. Lieutenant Sarah shook her head. No, Commander. No one's coming. They've sealed the trade routes. The other colonies have gone silent. Rallen clenched his fists. Velora Prime had sent an SOS to every known world. A desperate message calling for help. But hours passed, and no one answered. The other species of the galaxy had turned their backs. The survivors gathered in small groups. Some prayed to ancient gods. Others cursed the stars. Hope was fading. Fast out in the command center, a young technician shouted, "Commander, we have a response." Rallen rushed to the console. The screen blinked, showing a strange signal. It wasn't from the council, not from the allied worlds. The source was from a distant planet known only in old stories. A place no sane species visited. Earth. The room fell silent. Sarah's voice trembled. "Are you sure? The Deathworld?" The technician nodded. "Yes, it's them." Old stories spoke of Earth, a savage planet where storms raged, beasts hunted, and gravity crushed the weak. Its people, called Deathworlders, were said to be dangerous beyond reason. Soldiers born in fire, warriors with no fear. Most believed Earth had long vanished from the galaxy's affairs. Some even thought they were myths. But now the screen showed their signal. Rallen hesitated. "Open it." A message appeared. Simple. Cold. Help is coming. Hold the line. No name. No fleet code. No explanation. Is that it? Sarah asked. Confused. That's it, the technician confirmed. Fear and hope mixed in the room. No one knew what kind of help Earth would send. Legends told of a ship, an ancient warship built in Earth's darkest war. A ship called the Revenant. It had no crew, only weapons. It fought until the enemy was gone, or until it was destroyed. No one alive had ever seen it. "Commander," Sarah spoke quietly. "Should we trust them?" Rallen looked around at the scared faces. "Does it matter? No one else is coming." Outside, the enemy ships filled the sky. The swarm's leader, a massive creature named Krusuk, broadcasted a message to the planet. "Surrender now. Your end is here." The defenders didn't reply. In a hidden shelter, an old scholar named Varric whispered to a group of children. Long ago, the Deathworlders promised. If the innocent called for help, they would come. They always come. The children's eyes widened. "But isn't it a death ship?" "Yes," Varric said softly. "But sometimes death is what you need to survive." As hours passed, sensors picked up a massive energy signature entering the system. The object was traveling alone. No escorts. No broadcast. It was old, scarred, and impossibly large. "It's here," the technician whispered. The colony's scanners showed the ship moving toward the enemy fleet. No demands, no greetings. The only message it sent was a simple text to both sides. Stand down or be destroyed. The Zarkith fleet laughed. Their commanders sent back mocking messages. They fired their weapons at the approaching ship. But the Deathworlder vessel didn't fire back. It absorbed the attacks, shields holding firm. "Commander, what do we do?" Sarah asked, fear in her voice. Rallin watched the screen. His voice steady. We wait. And then the ship powered its weapons. The colony's sensors struggled to track the power levels. It was beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Revenant had come. The night sky over Velora Prime glowed as the Deathworlder ship prepared to strike. Asterisk whispers of the Deathworlders. Colony of Velora Prime held its breath. Every pair of eyes was locked on the sky. The enormous shape of the Deathworlder ship loomed in orbit like a ghost. It moved without sound, without haste, as if it feared nothing. Commander Rallin Voss stood by the window, watching. He had seen war. He had faced monsters. But this was something else. No alien ship had ever made him feel this kind of fear. His heart pounded in his chest. Have you ever seen anything like it? Lieutenant Sarah whispered. Rallin didn't answer. He simply shook his head. In the streets below, the surviving civilians looked to the heavens. Stories were already spreading like wildfire. Old legends were being retold. Mothers whispered to their children about the Deathworlders. Warriors of Earth, born on a world so deadly it forged monsters in human skin, about an elder named Varric gathered a small crowd near a ruined fountain. His voice, though old, was steady. I told you, children, the Deathworlders would come. Long ago they made a vow. When the innocent cry for help, they will answer. Not with words, not with talks, but with war. A young boy tugged his sleeve. Is it the Revenant, Elder Varric? Varric's face grew dark. Perhaps. If it is, pray it fights for us. In the enemy flagship, the monstrous warlord Krasic growled in frustration. The Deathworlder ship refused to answer his threats. His fleet's weapons had done nothing. None of his war tactics had worked. His warriors were becoming uneasy. What is this thing? One of his commanders demanded. Why won't it fight back? Krasic snarled. Because it is toying with us. The Deathworlders always play with their food before the kill. An officer spoke nervously. The troops are speaking of ancient stories. Warlord, of a ship called the Revenant. Krasic slammed his fist onto the control panel, crushing. It, fairy tales. No such thing exists. But even as he spoke, fear crept into his voice. Back at the colony command post, the sensor officer called out. Commander, enemy ships are repositioning. They're retreating from the Revenants. Firing zone. Rallin moved closer to the display. The enemy fleet was pulling back. Not in a tactical maneuver, but in fear. Sarah swallowed hard. They know. Rallin turned to her. Know what? That it's real. Across the galaxy, in distant star systems, word was spreading faster than light. Old military files were being reopened. Shady traders whispered in spaceports. Smugglers passed warnings in dark corners. The Revenant is awake. Stories varied. Some claimed the ship was built during the Galactic Purge, when Earth had stood, alone against impossible odds. Others believed it wasn't a ship at all, but a weapon given life. A vessel that fought without mercy and vanished without a trace. In one forgotten sector, an ancient space station went dark after receiving the same message Velora Prime had seen. Stand down, or be destroyed. None dared reply. On Velora Prime, night had fallen. The sky glowed red with fire. The Deathworlder ship remained still, like a giant watching its prey. Its weapons were powered, but it hadn't fired. Not yet, Rallin gathered. His officers. We need to prepare. If the Revenant fights, we stay clear. Sarah frowned. But we need to assist. We can't leave it alone. Ralene's face hardened. Lieutenant, you don't assist a storm. You survive it. Suddenly, the Revenant sent a new message. Only 2 words. Begin cleansing. The screen went black. The enemy fleet panicked. Krasic screamed orders. Ships scrambled to flee. But it was too late. The Revenant moved, its first shot fired from a cannon, so ancient its energy signature hadn't been seen in millennia. A single beam of light sliced through 3 enemy battleships. Like paper, the ships exploded silently, and space. Colony soldiers cheered. Civilians wept. Varrik, watching the glow from the battlefield, spoke softly to no one in particular. The storm has begun. On the bridge of the Revenant, no one sat, no crew moved. The ship fought alone, controlled by ancient, cold programming. Its mission was clear: protect the innocent, annihilate the threat. The ship unleashed its weapons. Enemy vessels tried to warp away, but the Revenant systems jammed their escape routes. Like a predator herding prey, it boxed them in. Within minutes, half the swarm was gone. Rallen whispered, "By the stars." "It's a massacre." Sara's hands shook. "Commander, what if it turns on us after this?" Rallen gave no answer. In truth, he feared that more than anything. The Revenant's weapons hummed, preparing for another strike, and the night was far from over. The arrival of the unknown. The sky above Velora Prime burned with light. Pieces of broken enemy ships floated in orbit like blackened bones. Fires blazed across the surface of the planet. The people watched in silence, their hearts caught between fear and hope. Commander Rallen Voss stood by the command post window, the glow of distant explosions reflected in his tired eyes. The Deathworlder ship, the Revenant, hovered like a dark god in the sky. Its metal hull was scarred and ancient, yet it moved with terrifying purpose. How many enemy ships left? Rallen asked quietly. The technician hesitated. 17, Commander. They're trying to regroup. Idiots, Rallen muttered. They'll never outrun that thing. In truth, no one ever did. The galaxy's story spoke of it. In old wars, it arrived alone. It never spoke beyond simple warnings. It didn't negotiate. It didn't forgive. It simply erased anything that threatened the innocent. And now, Velora Prime had witnessed its terrible power. On the enemy flagship, Warlord Kresak roared in frustration. Sparks flew around him as officers scrambled to restore systems. The bridge reeked of fear. "Find me a weakness," Kresak shouted. There must be something. One of his commanders trembled. "We fired everything, Warlord. Missiles, plasma, torpedoes, nothing touched it. Our scanners can't even track its power core." "Then send the last wave of drones." Kresak spat, "But Warlord, do." The remaining swarm fighters shot toward the Revenant like a cloud of angry insects. Hundreds of small ships darted through space, firing everything they had. For a moment, the Revenant did not react. Then, a low, eerie hum filled the comm systems across the planet and fleet. It wasn't a voice, but a pulse of sound, cold, mechanical, ancient. A countdown. Rallen heard it too. His stomach turned. "It's charging something," Sara whispered. The Revenant's front cannon lit up with a blinding blue glow. Every scanner on Velora Prime screamed warnings. Impact in 15 seconds. The sensor officer called out. In the colony's streets, survivors fell to their knees. Some covered their ears against the deep hum. Others simply watched, unable to look away. The drones struck first, firing in desperation, but it was useless. The Revenant's shields absorbed every blast. Its armor did not dent. Its weapons did not pause. And then a cannon fired. A beam of light, thick as a mountain, shot through the enemy formation. Drones vanished instantly, vaporized in the path of the blast. 3 cruisers behind them cracked and exploded. The energy wave continued, tearing through space like a god's fury. Kresak's ship barely survived, thrown off course by the shockwave. The colony shook as the light filled the sky. It was beautiful and terrifying. When the light faded, only a handful of enemy ships remained. They drifted, damaged and broken. Most had lost power. Escape routes were blocked. On the colony's command post screen, a single new message appeared. Final. Warning. Surrender. Rallen felt a chill. The Revenant had never given a second warning in any of the old stories. They have a chance, Sorrow whispered. Not for long, Rallen replied. Far from the colony, in hidden parts of the galaxy, other leaders watched the battle through stolen data streams. Pirate lords, smugglers, warlords, all seeing what many believed was a myth. One pirate leader, a grizzled alien named Jarek, slammed his drink down. By the Black Suns, it's real. His advisor shivered. Should we avoid Earth systems? Warlord? Jarek's eyes stayed on the screen as another enemy ship exploded. I don't care if they're Deathworlders. I'll never cross them. Ever. And so the legend of the Revenant spread once more. Back on Velora Prime, the colony's people gathered in the ruins of the central square. Fires still burned, but hope returned to their eyes. Varric, the old scholar, spoke again. Children, remember what you see tonight. The galaxy forgets the Deathworlders because it fears them, not because they are monsters, but because they never stop fighting for those who call for help. A little girl asked, will they stay with us? Varric shook his head. No, child, the Deathworlders never stay. They come when called, and leave as silently as they arrived. On the enemy flagship, Krasak made his final decision. Send a surrender signal. Do it now. His commanders obeyed without question. A small signal flashed through space to the Revenant. We surrender. Cease fire. The giant Deathworlder. Ship did not reply. Instead, its weapons powered down. The eerie hum stopped. The sky grew quiet once again. Commander Rallen let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. It's over, Sorrow whispered. Rallen wasn't so sure. Maybe for now. Because deep in his heart, he knew what everyone feared to admit. You didn't summon a Deathworlder warship without consequences. And sometimes, it wasn't the enemy who paid the price. Asterisk unleashing the Revenant the battlefield above Velora. Prime hung in silence. Wreckage floated like a field of broken bones. The few surviving enemy ships powered down their weapons and drifted helplessly in space. Their surrender signal blinked weakly across the system, but the Revenant did not leave Dot, it stayed in orbit, its dark frame lit by the fires of the ruined fleet. The ship's ancient armor was scarred, its surface marked by past wars, long forgotten by the galaxy. Yet not a single enemy weapon had pierced its hull. Dot inside the colony's command post. Commander Rallen Voss stared at the screen. It hasn't moved, Sarah said softly. Rallen nodded. I know. The Revenant's weapons remained silent, but its presence made everyone uneasy. The people of Velora Prime had survived, but none could celebrate. Not while that ship was still watching Dot in the ruins of the city. Old Varric gathered the children again. Why hasn't it gone? A boy asked. Varric's wrinkled face darkened. Because the Deathworlders don't leave until their work is finished. The children looked up at the dark shape in the sky, fear and awe in their wide eyes. On the enemy flagship, Warlord Krasak lay slumped in his command chair. His face was pale, his breathing shallow. Around him, his surviving officers avoided his gaze. The once proud fleet commander was now little more than a broken creature. One of his commanders spoke, his voice shaking. Warlord, shall we wait for their terms? Krasak laughed, a bitter, broken sound. Terms? Fool. The Deathworlders don't ask for terms. They deliver judgment. No one spoke after that. Dot. And then, without warning, the Revenant systems powered up again. A deep hum filled the airwaves. Lights flickered in the colony's command center. Every scanner on the planet screamed warnings. The people looked to the sky, terror filling their hearts. "It's charging weapons." The technician shouted, "But—" "They surrendered," Sarah stammered. Ralene's jaw clenched. "They did. But it's not for them." Everyone in the room froze. "What do you mean?" She whispered "RALE" and pointed at the city's outskirts. "The invaders left something behind. Hideouts. Weapons caches. Survivors. The Revenant knows." Above them, the Deathworlder ship began to move slowly. Purposefully it turned, aiming its weapons at the dark forests beyond the city walls. In those woods, small groups of Zarketh warriors had hidden after their defeat, hoping to survive, hoping to wait for rescue. Now they would face the Revenant. The first blast lit up the night sky. A pillar of blue-white light struck the forest, turning trees, soil, and stone into vapor. The explosion rolled across the land like a wave. Even from miles away, the heat could be felt. In the command post, no one spoke. The Revenant sensors found every hiding enemy, every buried supply, and every secret base. It fired again and again. Each shot precise, merciless. Within minutes, nothing remained outside the city but ash and silence. In the colony's streets, survivors gathered to watch. Some cheered, some cried, a few fell to their knees in prayer. But none turned their eyes from the terrible beauty above. Varric watched, in silence, a tear sliding down his cheek. "It's not mercy," he murmured. "It's duty." When the last enemy was gone, the Revenant powered down once more. Its weapons went dark. The humming stopped. The ship floated in orbit, still as stone. Then a single message appeared on every screen across Valora Prime. "Threat neutralized, mission complete." And with that, the Deathworlder ship began to move. It turned away from the planet, engines glowing softly. Without ceremony, without goodbyes, it vanished into deep space. No escort, no fleet, no reply to the colony's desperate messages. It left the way it had come, silent, unchallenged, and untouchable. In the command center, Ralen let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. "It's gone," Sarah said, her voice shaking. "Good," Ralen replied. But deep down, he wasn't sure if he meant it, because somewhere out there, the Revenant still waited. And the people of Valora Prime knew, if another call for help was sent, the Deathworlders would answer. Though they had saved the planet, the galaxy itself would tremble at the thought. Asterisk. The reckoning the stars of the Valros sector shone cold and silent. Space stations, outposts, and patrol ships dotted the darkness like lonely islands. But after the events at Valora Prime, everything had changed. Messages traveled faster than light. Fear moved even faster. Every major empire, pirate syndicate, smuggler ring, and warlord received the same report. The Revenant has returned. On the bridge of the massive trade station Drexel 1, a group of powerful alien leaders met in secret. Their faces showed fear. These were beings who commanded entire fleets, who had seen wars, who had crushed rebellions without a second thought. Yet now, they whispered like frightened children. An old insectoid admiral named Threx clicked his mandibles nervously. This cannot be true." A reptilian warlord snarled, his scales twitching. "I saw the footage myself. A Deathworlder ship, armed with forbidden weapons. It destroyed the Zarketh swarm like insects. Another alien, his skin pale and his voice sharp, spoke. We always believed the Deathworlders were gone, hidden away on their cursed world. But now, they've shown themselves again." The room fell silent. At last, a hooded figure at the table's end spoke. No one knew his name, but they all feared him. "If the Revenant has awakened," the figure rasped, "then we are no longer the hunters. We are prey." Back on Valora Prime, The planet's survivors began to rebuild. Fires were extinguished, the wounded treated. The enemy's dead were gathered and buried far beyond the city's borders. Not out of respect, but out of fear. That anything left behind might invite the Deathworlders back. Commander Rowland Voss sat alone in his quarters, staring at a cracked photograph of his family. His hand trembled slightly. A knock came at the door. "Enter," he called. Lieutenant Sarah stepped in, her face pale. "Commander," she said quietly, "we've received messages from half a dozen colonies. They saw what happened here. They want to know what price we paid." Rowland frowned. "What price?" Sarah swallowed hard. "For calling them the Deathworlders." Rowland let out a slow breath. He had no answer. There had been no demands, no offers, no treaties. Only fire. And destruction. "They didn't ask for anything," he said at last. Sarah's voice trembled. "Maybe they will later." In the deep black of uncharted space, the Revenant sailed in silence. Its engines left no trail. Its scanners saw everything. Inside its ancient control room, no crew moved. No lights blinked, but somewhere within its cold systems, a message awaited. A file locked for centuries dotted open now. A human voice, crackling with age. "If you are hearing this, you are the last of our kind. You are Earth's final promise to the stars. You will answer the innocent. You will strike the guilty, and you will never stop." The voice faded. The Revenant sensors scanned for distress signals. Somewhere far away, another colony's beacon flickered weakly. The ship changed course. Back in the halls of power, fear became anger. On the world of Zenthra, a cruel ruler known as Lord Vexer addressed his war council. "These Deathworlders, these relics of a forgotten war, they are a threat to every empire." His advisors nodded. "We must find Earth," Vexer declared. "We must strike it down before they awaken more monsters like that ship." But even as he spoke, his voice betrayed him, because everyone in that room knew one thing. No one had ever found Earth. It was a legend, a nightmare, a place that refused to be conquered, refused to be broken, and now it refused to be forgotten, not in the colony streets of Velora Prime. Old Varric told one final story to the gathered children. "Long ago, the Deathworlders made a vow," he whispered. "When the darkness comes, they will rise, not to rule, not to conquer, but to end those who prey upon the weak." A child asked, "Will they come back, Elder Varric?" The old man's eyes flickered to the stars. "Oh yes, child. The galaxy may forget them, may hide from them, but the Deathworlders, they never forget a cry for help." And somewhere in the darkness between the stars, the Revenant moved once more. Asterisk echoes of Earth, the stars stretched endlessly, cold and uncaring. Broken ships drifted in forgotten battlefields. Planets spun on, unaware of the horrors or heroes that passed between them. Yet somewhere in the blackness of space, a legend moved once again. The Revenant thought it was silent now. Its weapons cold, but its sensors never slept. No one knew where it came from. No one could track it, and those who saw it never forgot. On the colony world of Velora Prime, peace had returned, but not in the way the people expected. The streets were no longer filled with fear, yet the shadow of what they'd witnessed hung heavy over them. Commander Rowland Voss stood on a high hill overlooking the rebuilt city. The fires had been put out. The wounded healed. New homes rose. Where the old ones had fallen, but the sky? The sky still felt different. Lieutenant Sarah approached, a tablet in hand. "Commander," she said softly. "Reports from 3 colonies nearby. They claim to have seen something." Rowland raised an eyebrow. "The Revenant?" "No," Sarah shook her head. "Another signal. Old Earth code. Different ship." Ralene's heart skipped a beat. They have more of them? Sarah didn't reply. She didn't need to. Across the galaxy, powerful empires braced themselves. Warlords tightened defenses. Star systems sealed borders. Criminal cartels erased old debts. No one wanted to be noticed. The Deathworlders had been silent for centuries. Now, in the space of a single day, they had reminded the galaxy what their silence truly meant. It wasn't peace. It was a warning. In the ancient council chamber of the Jorith Dominion, the high leaders gathered. Their robes shimmered with light. Their faces remained still, though fear gripped them as tightly as chains. An elder female spoke. "We have forgotten them." Another answered. "We made treaties without them, drew borders in their absence, claimed the galaxy as ours." A third whispered, "And now they wake." The room went quiet. At last, the oldest among them, his voice little more than a dry whisper, spoke. "We never should have ignored Earth." Far beyond the edge of known space, deep in a region uncharted by any star maps, a planet waited. Green and blue, with endless oceans and savage lands. Earth. No ships patrolled its skies. No diplomats visited its cities. It was a world lost to time, hidden from the maps of every empire. But it was alive. Lights twinkled in scattered human settlements. Great forests whispered with ancient winds. And deep beneath a mountain, a hidden chamber glowed softly. There, a row of ancient consoles displayed incoming distress signals from across the stars. Dozens. Hundreds. A soft female voice, emotionless but kind, spoke into the silence. "Revenant operational, next deployment prepared, awaiting orders." In the shadows, a single human figure stepped forward. Old, scarred, his face marked by time and war. His eyes burned with something the galaxy had long forgotten. Fury. He placed his hand on the console and spoke 4 words. "Send the next ship." Back on Velora Prime, old Varric gathered the children for one final lesson. "This galaxy," he said, "is a place of powerful empires, ancient evils, and endless war. But remember this, little ones." He pointed toward the stars. "No one else comes, Earth will." The children stared up at the sky, and far above, in the endless black, the Revenant disappeared into the void, searching for the next cry for help. A nightmare to the wicked, a promise to the innocent, and a reminder to the galaxy. Deathworlders never forget. Asterisk. The forgotten signal. Long after the battle for Velora Prime was over, the galaxy tried to return to normal. Trade ships reopened old routes. Colonies repaired their broken cities. Warlords made new alliances, pretending they had not been terrified. But somewhere, in a dead corner of space no one dared chart, a lone satellite drifted. It was old, so old its metal was worn and rusted by centuries of radiation. Its faded markings showed a symbol almost no one recognized anymore. The Earth flag. Inside, a dim light still blinked. Its ancient computer, barely alive, repeated the same message it had for hundreds of years. "Earth is watching, awaiting your next mistake." In a pirate stronghold deep within the Braxon Nebula, a group of smugglers gathered around a stolen data core. A hologram flickered to life, showing grainy footage of the Revenant's attack on the Zarkith swarm. One pirate leaned forward, his face pale. "Is it real?" he asked. An old captain nodded. "Real as death." Another spoke, fear in his voice. "If they still have ships like that, how many more are out there?" No one answered. Because no one knew. On the outer rim of the Vexor cluster, an automated distress beacon activated. A small, isolated human research colony had gone silent. No one noticed. No one cared. Except one ship. In the void, sensors caught the faint signal. The Revenant turned. No words. No greetings. Just a new message. Received. En route. Back on Earth, Long forgotten by the rest of the galaxy, a vast underground chamber came alive. Dozens of ships, hidden beneath mountain ranges and deep oceans, powered up for the first time in centuries. Their hulls gleamed in the dark. Each bore a single name, Deathworlder Command Vessel. A voice, calm and ancient, spoke inside the control center. New threat detected. Operation Nightfall authorized. An old man, the same scarred figure from before, stood watching. He turned to a younger officer beside him. "It's starting again," he said. The young woman swallowed hard. "Do we call the others?" "They." Old man smiled, not kindly. "No, let the galaxy sleep. We'll remind them when it's time." In the starless void, the Revenant disappeared, leaving only silence behind. But now, the galaxy would never rest easy again, because somewhere, out there, Deathworlders still lived. And they were watching. Always, asterisk.